The F-35 isn't just a jet, it's a strategic commitment. Canada's F-35 purchase isn't just about replacing aging fighters. It's about choosing an industrial ecosystem, a supply chain, and a long-term strategic alignment that will shape Canadian air power for decades. Once that decision is embedded in training, logistics, software, and infrastructure, it becomes extremely difficult to reverse. This isn't just about aircraft capability. It's about strategic posture. Hi, welcome to Canadian Shields. I'm your host, Pierre Shields, and today we're talking about the F-35. Context. Canada is replacing its CF-18 fleet because those aircraft are nearing the end of their operational service life. Under the Future Fighter Capability Project, the government is committed to procuring 88 F-35A jets, with deliveries beginning in the mid to late 2020s and continuing into the 2030s. This decision is framed in government documents and parliamentary defense updates as essential to fulfilling Canada's role in NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, maintaining interoperability with NATO allies, ensuring domestic aerospace industry participation, and preserving credible air defense capabilities. But modernization decisions always come with embedded strategic assumptions about future conflict, alliance structures, and industrial alignment. Where the contract stands today. Before we go further into capability and consequences, we need to ground ourselves in something critical. Where does the F-35 contract actually stand right now? Because the numbers are important. As of the most recent reporting and government statements, Canada has formally committed to and funded 16 F-35A aircraft. Those jets are scheduled to begin arriving in 2026 as part of the CF-18 replacement process. This isn't hypothetical, this is locked in. But there's a new twist. While the broader fighter fleet review is still ongoing, and while the government continues to examine long-term fleet structure, Canada has also begun making payments for long lead components tied to 14 additional F-35 aircraft. These are not finished jets yet. They're production commitments, advance payments that reserve manufacturing slots and keep Canada in the production queue. In practical terms, this means Canada is now financially embedded in 30 aircraft, 16 fully funded jets, plus component commitments for 14 more. And yet, the government has not formally reconfirmed the full 88 aircraft fleet in final contractual form. So, we're in an interesting position. Operational momentum is underway, production slots are being secured, infrastructure planning is proceeding, but the total fleet decision remains under review. Strategically, this does two things. First, it preserves delivery timelines. Canada does not lose its place in the global F-35 production schedule. Second, it narrows flexibility, because once long lead items are paid for, unwinding becomes more complex and more expensive. This is not cancellation territory, this is staged commitment. And staged commitment shapes outcomes. Now, with that context in mind, let's examine what Canada is actually buying into. Hi, it's Future Me from editing. I want to make sure before we go on that I'm clear about my position here. I'm not necessarily pro F-35, but I'm open to the F-35s that we're going to get. Seeing as how we're already committed to them, I think it's important to know what we're getting. The next video we're going to be doing is comparing alternatives to the F-35. So in this video, again, we're talking about the F-35, what we're buying, what it means to us, and none of what I'm saying here is anti-American. It's more pro-Canadian. All right, enough. Let's go back to our video. What the F-35 offers. Let's now look at what this aircraft actually delivers. The F-35 introduces sensor fusion, stealth characteristics, and networked interoperability. What do we mean by sensor fusion? Well, we're talking about integrated radar, infrared, electronic surveillance, and data distribution into a unified pilot interface. What are the stealth characteristics? Well, these are the low observable airframe design features intended to reduce detectability against certain radar systems. And finally, what do we mean by networked interoperability? Well, it means integrated battlefield data sharing among allied aircraft and joint command systems. Strategically, the most crucial requirement for Canada is aerospace defense under NORAD, not long-range strike missions in contested environments. So the real capability choice becomes, are we optimizing for sovereignty enforcement in Canadian airspace, or are we optimizing for coalition integration in high-end contested environments? That distinction is really important. Industrial alignment. Choosing the F-35 means choosing to embed Canada within a US-centric aerospace industrial ecosystem. Canada does participate on certain subcontract work, components, maintenance roles, and Canadian aerospace supply hubs, but Major design, software, and lifecycle decisions are governed by the multinational F-35 Joint Program Office. That includes mission software baselines, upgrade approval cycles, sustainment logistics, and weapons integration roadmaps. Indirect industrial participation is real, but ultimate control stays in the larger program. This is not a derogatory point, it's structural. If Canada wants sovereign control over mission systems and software, these constraints are critical. Strategic lock-in. Modern fighters aren't simply hardware, they're software platforms. Upgrades, weapons packages, sensor suites. They all depend on centralized program management. Once Canadian pilots are trained, infrastructure is configured, and supply chains are established around the F-35, reversing that course becomes a multi-decade, multi-billion-dollar choice. This isn't about short-term budget lines. It's about which industrial and operational ecosystem Canada commits to for generations. How other countries are faring. Canada isn't alone in this program. Nation partners, including the US, UK, Netherlands, Norway, Denmark, Japan, and Australia, have operational experience with F-35s. So these are the pros reported by partners. Interoperability has been one of the most frequent cited advantages of the F-35 program, with partner nations reporting strong joint capability during multinational exercises and real-world deployments. The aircraft's sensors and network architecture enhances situational awareness by integrating multiple data sources and enabling secure data sharing across allied platforms. Because the F-35 program is multinational, participating countries benefit from a shared upgrade pathway with coordinated enhancements and pooled research and development resources distributed across the partner network. Cons reported by partners. Operating and sustainment expenses have remained higher than many initial projections, with several partner nations acknowledging long-term cost pressures tied to maintenance and flight hour expenditures. Core mission software is governed by the F-35 Joint Program Office, which means participating countries do not independently control upgrade cycles or baseline system changes. While partner industries contribute to components, maintenance roles, and supply chain participation, they generally don't control core avionics, mission systems, or central software architecture. These international experiences demonstrate that the program's advantages are accompanied by structural trade-offs, and those trade-offs are embedded in the program's design rather than driven by short-term political decisions. Consequences for Canada. So what does Canada gain? Well, Canada gains deep interoperability with key allies, ensuring seamless integration with NORAD and NATO operations. It gains access to advanced sensor systems and network-enabled capabilities that enhance situational awareness and coalition coordination. It also gains entry into a shared modernization pathway, benefiting from coordinated upgrades and long-term capability development within the multinational F-35 program. What does Canada give up? Canada relinquishes independent authority over core mission software and upgrade cycles. It reduces the scope of full industrial sovereignty by operating within a US-led program architecture, and it limits its long-term flexibility in shaping the future direction of its fighter capability outside the boundaries of the established F-35 ecosystem. This doesn't mean the F-35's choice is wrong. It means it's a strategic alignment and one that has real implications for Canada's defense posture. For a nation that talks about sovereignty, this alignment is meaningful. Because once you choose your aircraft ecosystem, you shape your entire defense posture for decades. And that raises the real questions. Did Canada truly have a viable alternative? Was the competition structurally open, or was alignment inevitable? I'll break that down in next Thursday's video. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, comment, and click notifications. Thanks for spending time with me. This has been Pierre Shields for Canadian Shields. Go play outside.